Welcome to Keto Meals and Recipes.com. Today's recipe is an incredibly easy and tasty maple butter mustard ham, which is a terrific alternative to turkey for any special occasion such as Thanksgiving, Christmas, Easter, or when you're having a family dinner. The thing I like best about this maple butter mustard ham is that it only takes about 10 minutes to prepare, and it's totally foolproof if you're just learning to cook, or if you're the one preparing the holiday feast and don't want to spend the entire day in the kitchen. So let's get started. The macronutrient ratio for this maple butter mustard ham is 1.1 to 1, with 1.4 gram of total carbs, and there's no dietary fiber, so the net carbs are also 1.4 grams. And that's for each 170 gram or 6 ounce serving. The other great thing about this recipe is that it only uses a few ingredients to make the ham glaze. If you're going to be making and serving the ham the same day, it's always a good idea to take the ham out of the refrigerator and let the meat get to room temperature before you begin any of the preparations. The first thing that I do, and that's because I want the glaze to absorb really well into the meat layer, I use my knife to score the skin and fat layer with shallow cuts. There's different ways you can score it, but I like to make a crisscross diagonal pattern. After you've done that, and if your meat is not yet at room temperature, set the ham aside while you make the glaze. In a mixing bowl, combine the melted butter, the maple extract, clove powder, mustard powder, whole grain Dijon mustard, or if you don't have that, you can use regular smooth Dijon mustard, but I prefer the whole grain because it adds texture and extra flavor to the glaze. Stir the content in the bowl very well, and also don't forget to add your Lakanto Gold sweetener. Stir well to combine the ingredients and to make sure the sweetener has completely dissolved in the butter mixture. The next bit of instruction is if you're going to bake your ham right away. First, place your oven rack in the lower third position. This will make room for the big roasting pot and ham. And then preheat your oven to 180 degrees Celsius or 360 degrees Fahrenheit. It depends what you want to use to bake your ham in. You can use either a roasting pot or baking dish. Spread several tablespoons of the glaze onto the bottom of the pan, and then position the scored ham on top of the glaze in the pan. The next step is to generously spread the glaze on top and on the cut side of the ham, making sure that you work some of the glaze into the scored cuts. When you've used up all your glaze, let the ham marinate for about 1 hour on your counter. However, if you were making this the night before, all you have to do at this point is cover it with cling wrap and refrigerate until 1 hour before you're ready to put it in the oven the next day, at which point you should take out the ham and let it get to room temperature on your counter before baking it. Now, since we're making this the same day, before placing the maple butter mustard ham into the oven, I covered the ham with a loose aluminum foil tent and placed it on the lower third shelf of my oven, at which point I baked the covered ham for about an hour. And then I removed the aluminum foil and baked for another 45 minutes uncovered. Baking the ham uncovered for 45 minutes is really important because this will give you a really nice crispy crackle. I'd like to remind you that the guidelines I'm giving you here are based on the ham that I used, which was 8 kilograms or 17.6 pounds bone in and skin on. And what I used was a ham leg, or also known as a ham shank. Then when your ham is done and you've got a nice crackle surface, remove from the oven and let the ham rest for about 20 to 60 minutes before starting to carve it. You want all the juices to seal into the meat. You'll find that a lot of juices will escape, and this will eventually make your meat very dry and tough. So resting is really important. Also, while the ham is resting, use a ladle and scoop up some of the drippings from the bottom of the pan and pour it over the ham. Repeat this several times. Because it's difficult to know what to serve for a particular meal, I have made a mix and match menu with vegetable side dish and dessert categories so that you can prepare your own Thanksgiving, Christmas, Easter, or for whatever gathering you're making this ham. I'd also like to mention that I have written a blog post with all the mix and match suggestions, and also in this blog post I have described how you can do several of the recipes as prep ahead, either 1 or 2 days ahead, so that you don't have to spend your entire day in the kitchen, so that you too can enjoy spending time with your guests and family. Please do check out my blog post article, which I titled A Keto Thanksgiving Prep Ahead Menu and Schedule. Now, to store the leftovers, you should leave them on the bone and cover everything with cling wrap to prevent the ham from drying out and absorbing other refrigerator smells. This will keep very nicely for 2 to 4 days in the refrigerator. Alternatively, if you still have lots of ham left over and you don't want to eat it right away, pre-slice the remaining ham and place into the freezer bags. But don't forget to separate each layer of ham with a sheet of parchment paper. This will make it much easier to thaw and separate the pieces when you're ready to use them. I hope that this recipe and these suggestions will help you manage your holiday or special occasion dinner parties so that you too can have a relaxing holiday. Thank you very much for watching this video. Please turn on your notification bell, and if you're new, please consider subscribing, and I hope to see you next time. The link for the printable recipe and the blog article will be posted in the description below.